Okay, folks. I sort of realized I don't have the some of the resources I need to really speak up and speak out on certain things safely. Um, so I have to kind of make certain maneuvers so that some kinds of innocent people stay safe. I'll put it that way. So I was revisiting a selection from Thoughts of a Philosophical Fighter Pilot by James Stockdale, who also went by James Stockdale at one point. He was definitely kind of a badass historical figure, and somebody who put Stoicism into practice in a real-world setting. So I originally encountered his works when I was, around the age of 20, and there's a point in his writings in which he mentions that when he was basically being tortured, he was sitting with a broken leg, and it was broken by force by his torturers. And pardon my language, but he was sitting in a puddle of his own piss and shit for days, and, facing the prospect of an early death, as well as the prospect of being treated as some sort of propaganda tool, whether during his life or afterward. He was isolated from kind of a sense of meaningful hope, by which I mean the kind of hope that sustains people in the midst of their hardships. I recall a clarification that my therapist had once given me on the basis of her readings of Viktor Frankl's work. She said that some of the people who I think actually survived torturous settings during the Holocaust were those who could actually craft meaning or purpose in the midst of an unimaginable hell. And I think James Stockdale may have, don't quote me on this, asserted something different about how resignation was actually fuel for survival, and, hope made you too vulnerable. These are kind of contrasting perspectives. I think they're both legitimate for different kinds of psychological profiles, but it's worth reading about him and, Paul Dingazzo and various other people who endure extreme situations when they're going through different kinds of hardships, for all you know, and for all reality itself might indicate, you could be a perfectly law-abiding and civil and kind and caring person, but if the right sort of person can profit off of painting you in a certain light, then they will, they can mess with you, they can defame you in various ways, often behind your back, and then, injustice prevails. Because, the world is not just, it's governed by, well, never mind, I don't want to get into that whole thing. A lot of people want to believe, in karma, in a just world and a personally intervening God, but I would say a combination of study and experiences prompted me to believe in different things. However, studying figures like James Stockdale, like numerous historical figures who thrived despite making it through obscenely taxing situations, has proven fruitful for me. I have to engage in certain extents of self-censorship, because if I don't, I'm going to I don't want to get into that, but yeah, studying torture victims can help you gain a renewed sense of strength as you make it through, a tough work week or a tough time with maybe a failing relationship. All right, take care.